welcome to today's webinar. I'm Joseph Novichkov, Senior Trading Manager with GDM. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's the last week of this month's webinars. But before we conclude this month, there are a few more important things that we need to discuss here, especially when it comes to momentum trading. And basically, this is the focus of this month. We're looking at some various different systems that we can use in order to incorporate into our trading plan. We can see the basic functionality of the oscillators, the indicators in general that we're using. We can see how valuable these systems are when it comes to the time when we have to choose the right system to use. As I've constantly actually tried to explain to many of my clients and traders here at the firm, that every moment in time needs the appropriate system. So, as we usually do, we cover the current market conditions. And the current market conditions are very good, perfect, should I say, for the usage of momentum trading systems. What we saw so far, we've been combining the momentum indicator itself, the awesome oscillator as well. Today, however, we're going to use a system that it's been on the market for quite some time. I've tweaked it a little bit, a few of the indicators that are working much better now when they, since a few years ago. So it's a very good moment to use it. I'm using it right now on major currencies, those with tighter spreads like the euro-dollar. What we're looking at right now is a 30-minute euro-dollar chart. And of course, as today's topic is the short-term time frames with the momentum trading systems, today we're also going to take a look at the awesome oscillator, but of course with a combination of two more indicators that are going to give us a very neat, very profitable, very good system. As a standalone indicators, you have already found, and you have seen in the webinars as well, that the indicators are not performing that well. So we need pretty much one to confirm another. We need a slower one with a faster one so we can confirm them in a one timeline, and of course so we can receive a proper trading signal. This is pretty much what we need all the time. Now, the one thing that we haven't used so far as an indicator is the accelerator oscillator. Now, for short, of course, we can go for AC, and with a combination of the awesome oscillator, which is AO for short, it gives us a very good trading system, especially on small time frames. It can go down even to 5 minutes. Now, the fact that the third indicator that we're going to use will be changing directions pretty often, we're actually going to grasp just about a few 10 to 20 pips on 5 minutes, a 5-minute chart. So I'm pretty much sticking with 30 minutes to sometimes in a larger volatility go down to 15 minutes in order to grasp the whole potential of any opportunity, of course. Therefore, we're going to focus on the middle one, on the 30-minute chart. We can see when we start shifting back the chart what kind of signals we're receiving, what to look for, and exactly what time we should enter, exit, protect ourselves, so on and so forth. Now let's go ahead and just plant those instruments on our charts. As you can see, so far we've been using the accelerator here, so we can set up the system as well, and the awesome oscillator as well. Now the accelerator oscillator, we're going to use the basic settings or the default settings, so to speak. Of course, we can add the zero level as well. This is also something that can help us track the market momentum to see at what time, where exactly on this vertical line it actually is, horizontal line. So it's not necessary to have it. Me personally, I would like to see it because it gives me a better perspective on when exactly it's crossing that zero level. Of course, some of the traders, the way that they're using the accelerator oscillator or the AC from now on for short, they're basically using it on the changing of the colors of this momentum in those bars here. Now, I wouldn't go that much, basically because we saw that when the colors are changing, in some cases, let's take it from here, this green one, that doesn't necessarily mean that the market is going to go up. Okay, as we can see here, it pretty much sticks to the sidelines during the whole period of these sessions. So to speak, it's the same pretty much for the red bars here. Okay, it's sticking to the sidelines, so we cannot really use what is so visible. Let's put it this way. In other words, the combination between the three indicators that we're going to be setting up on our charts today, by crossing that zero level, actually is going to give us the beginning of the market momentum that we actually need, because we're looking for, let's say, a profit between 30 to 100 pips, sometimes even more, on a single position in one currency pair. Therefore, we need the beginning of that timing, of that market momentum. So we can grab the beginning of the trend, short-term trend, and of course close it on the reversal signal when we're going to get it. Later on, there are of course a few ways that we can choose the third particular indicator on our charts. I will talk a little bit about it later on. But first, let's see what the accelerator oscillator is all about. Now, the AC was designed by Bill Williams, of course. Most of the traders know that. There are a lot of indicators that were designed by the same person. And of course, it's considered to be a very huge advancement of the actual awesome oscillator. However, the known AC, for short, as we mentioned, as an oscillator, has a predetermined settings. So we can't really tweak anything on that particular instrument that we're using. So it's basically default settings, the way they've been set up so far. Of course, there are possibilities to have a customized accelerator oscillator as well, to change the default settings, to modify them in something that you want to use further on. However, just the combination of these two makes it even enough powerful system on the market, especially when it comes to momentum trading. The AC, as we can see, trades around the zero line, and it's used to predict momentum in price. This is the basic explanation of what the AC is all about. However, the very important thing that we need to know here is as we go to set up our awesome oscillator, okay, let's add the zero level again. Here, you will notice that the AO is much slower than the AC, which brings us straight to the question itself. What do we need to watch first? What do we need to watch afterwards? And how do we get our actual confirmation? Now, we already know that our signal is coming from the crossovers of the zero level. The second thing is that, as we already know that the awesome oscillator is slower than the AC or the accelerator, that means that the first signal we will receive from the AC, and the second one, it will actually come from the AO. However, there is a time when both indicators are in line and they're crossing that zero level simultaneously. Basically, this is the beginning of the market momentum. This is what we're looking for. As I mentioned earlier, of course, there are a lot of opportunities there. You will notice when you start backtesting this system or just trade with it along as it is, that you can pretty much, let's say, take that crossing here, and we already know that the AC is in a negative territory, to short an instrument. However, if we take as an advantage this area here, with these candlesticks. This is just one explanation, just to see, for you to see how it is actually working. This one has already broken the negative territory. This one is starting to build momentum. And of course, we have a downward direction worth about close to 50 pips of profit. However, we're not entirely sure whether the market will make a substantial move for us to enter and, of course, profit from it. Because it can also just hover around the zero level without anything that brings us into a substantial profit as it is, and it, of course, reverses direction, hits your stop loss, and, of course, you're going into a negative impact on your accounts. But, as I mentioned, as a third indicator, a lot of traders are using a moving average, something that ranges between 5 and 14 in period. However, a much more accurate reading and on-time trading signal could be actually received by using the parabolic support and resistance, which is also calculating moving averages, to predict market direction, let's put it this way. And of course, there we can actually tweak a lot of things that can bring us close to what we need. Now, for the parameters here, I've set a step of 0.1 to a maximum of 0.1. This is the idea here, because we need more faster, much more close to the price, and of course, when it changes direction, it needs to be on time with the other indicators. So I've tested with a lot of settings here with the parabolic, and I've come to the conclusion that the step of 0.1 to a maximum of 0.1 is much better for our system. And it looks like this. It's simple as it is. A moving average can also be used, as I mentioned, from 5 periods to 14. My favorite is to go for 9 or 10 period. This is where I'm actually going to get the optimum by filtering out false signals and, of course, bringing on the more profitable trades into my into my profits, into my account. Now, speaking in terms of 30-minute charts, we will have multiple opportunities in one day. Let's say in a currency pair, volatile as the euro-dollar, we could get about 2 signals per day on this one, on that currency pair. So imagine there are hundreds of different currency pairs out there. However, the important fact here, as I mentioned earlier, is depending on that time frame that you're using, you will pick your currency pair. The smaller the time frame, the tighter the spread you need to go. Because if you get, let's say, something like the Norwegian kroner versus the euro or the dollar, let's say, it is a dollar cross, however, but the exotic nature of the Norwegian kroner or the Swedish or the Danish kroner, for example, keeps a very, very large spread. So large that on a small time frame is very difficult to beat. So there you have to go on a larger time frame, like 30 minutes charts, maybe 1 minute. And of course, if you're going to trade something like that, you will need a proper system to go for. Therefore, the universal nature of the system gives you the ability to do so. But bringing the time frame higher on 4-hour chart, daily chart, then you have to go with the different settings of the parabolic. So that's all about it. But today's session, as I mentioned, is only for shorter time frames. Therefore, the settings of this system are for between 15 to 30-minute chart, more appropriate. Speaking of which, if any one of you guys is, let's say, interested in using it in a higher time frame, needs different settings of the parabolic support and resistance, wondering how to use it with more, let's say, more exotic nature currency pairs, of course, you're always welcome to contact us and to request a session with me, and we can go ahead and set it up on the chart again and see how it works. For now, what we need to look with our session is this. As we mentioned, the accelerator is much more faster than the awesome oscillator. So of course, the first thing to notice is that we're going to start seeing the parabolic. Let me just go ahead and hide this for you, like this, for example, because this is what we're going to see when we receive a signal. Imagine that we're here, okay, that this is today's market. We're going to start seeing parabolics, the dots appearing below our price. Also, we're going to start seeing that cross here, okay, the crossover at the zero level of the accelerator. Then we're going to wait for the awesome oscillator to go into a positive territory, or let's say in bullish territory. And when we start seeing this first, at least the first bar here, we already see the short-term buildup of the momentum here. And we can enter our position despite the fact that there is a resistance here. That's why this system goes very well, because the action between these two oscillators is actually predicting the future price movement, and it's obviously to the north or bullish direction. Of course, the exit strategy here will be slightly more different than what we saw with the previous systems, when we were actually exiting on the changing of the color of the bars of the awesome oscillator. Right now, we're actually going to exit on the change of direction of the parabolic. This is one of the ways. And of course, second way, you can always have the fixed pip profit or risk ratio. So let's go ahead and see what the performance here is. When we entered on this particular situation, we've entered somewhere around these levels. The change of direction of the parabolic happens around here. Now this is 13 30-minute sessions. This is 30 pips of profit. Of course, that's a system that it's not based on support and resistance, that it's on the path of the price, but it's mostly reliable. It's relying on the signals, with the combination of the three particular instruments. It's as simple as that. Nothing complicated. But the fact that we're profit or risk based on the change of direction of the parabolic, that means that our stop loss will depend on that parabolic as well. So you can either go for the previous low to set up your stop loss, fixed stop loss, somewhere below the lowest low of this of these sessions here, somewhere around these levels, a few pips down, so we can avoid any price hikes, Or let's say you've entered the position here, for example, you did not make a substantial profit, and then the momentum brings you back up. Let's say erasing that running profit, which you didn't collect so far into your accounts. That means that when the parabolic changes direction, you actually exit, no matter if it's just a few pips of profit on the price action, or it's just a few pips of loss. So the parabolic gives us the profit and our stops, basically our security and our profits. All of this within the parabolic's ability. Because we've actually moved to that parabolic with our adjustments closer to that price, gives us that ability, because the right moment when it changes direction, we know we're either collecting profits or just going for just a bit of a negativity on this position. So let's go ahead and see. It's not a flawless system, as I mentioned. There is going to be some particular failures, positions that, such as this one, for example, okay. You get a signal from the parabolic, you see the bullish candles are starting to build. We can see all of this in line with time, and then we enter a position somewhere around here. Then we see the parabolic appearing on that price action. Okay, that's about 25 pips with, of course, the shadows of this candle. Of course, the market momentum that it's built, it's not over, because we can see that the awesome oscillator is still building momentum, trying to achieve a new peak. However, the settings of the system require that we should exit the moment we see a change in direction of the parabolic. So we can see a change in direction here, only one parabolic. Probably we managed to exit without any losses, or we have conceived a loss. But that doesn't mean that we should give up on that, because what we can see afterwards is just another continuation with a new parabolic pointing to a new direction to the upside, and our oscillator is telling us we can still go ahead and buy on this case. But this is only one case in which we should all consider the possibility that this might not even happen in the future. Again, this is a case we should avoid. It doesn't matter that the possibility here is about 80 to 90 pips. That's a pretty good position, all right? But avoiding these cases will save us a lot of trouble in the future, because no one can predict the market on 100%. That's impossible. We will have another case like this one, a case in which we see change in direction of the AC. Our parabolic is telling us there is further downside to go. We see the bars coming into negative territory of the awesome oscillator, and we can of course take that case down to the change of this parabolic here to about 30 pips of profit, avoiding problems in the future. That's why we need that parabolic so close to the price, because it can give us exit strategy on time. So we don't wait for a case like this one to bring us in break even or even a little bit of loss. Now let's have a look what is happening further back, where exactly we have this particular alignment. Here we have a beautiful case in which we see the AC breaking down in a negative territory. Our parabolic is telling us to sell. We see the bars starting to appear here, and we are on the spot. And our exit comes way down here. You see that's about 90 pips of profit, because our parabolic had not changed direction until that time. That's 46 sessions. You keep that position running into a beautiful 90 pip profit, which brings you about $900 on the lot. And as I mentioned, the parabolic is intact. There is a lot of cases that you will get this, for example. Okay, this is also not a bad idea. You don't know what is going to happen in the future. You are going to take it, of course. You buy here and you exit here, pretty much on the break even. So the parabolic is a very important integral part of that system, because it protects us from any huge losses, and it takes us exactly when on time to take our profits before the market starts, let's say, reversing or ending up in a sideways direction like here, for example. That's something that we should always consider when using the system. Okay, another case, when I keep scrolling back, we can see that fake signal that we receive here. Okay, the parabolic is telling us that the market is going to move lower. The AC, as we said, it's faster than the awesome oscillator, is going in negative territory. However, we're not using the color of these bars. We're basically using the crossovers, and the signal comes straight over here, but before then that parabolic gets mixed up into a sideways direction with a lot of dots up and down, which is our protection, telling us stay away from this one. You don't need it. Pick another fight, another currency pair. There are a lot of them. You shouldn't just use any. A lot of cases here where we're mostly breaking even on a lot of positions. I backtracked this one for several times. You can see that on-time signal that it goes. Gives us an entry just about a 5 pips of profit. As you can see, the parabolic changing direction over here on this shadow. So basically, this is what the system is doing. Giving you a very quick, very neat signal, and it's giving you an exit strategy as well. No matter if you're just a few pips off the target, or you're fast enough on the bottom to collect just a few pips of profit. But when the time comes and when everything is like it should be, we will have cases like this one, for example. Okay, we see that everything is as it should be. Green bars We still don't look at the color, as we mentioned. It's in a negative territory. This one is breaking down. The parabolic is telling us to sell. So even if we catch it from here up to this one, that's about 30 pips of profit. Again, that's $300 on the lot. Also, we can see many cases like this one where we're receiving pretty much the same signal as I mentioned. The parabolic is bullish here. We see bullish direction in 1, 2, 3. We buy, we exit. That's it. About 13 to 15 pips of profit. That's still $130 on the lot. And only on one currency pair, given the fact that this is a 30-minute chart, probably going to go through 2, 5, maybe 10 signals. You have no idea how volatile the currency pair could be. Especially today, we're expecting Janet Yellen to testify before the Congress. There might be a lot of hints about December's rate hike. We're also expecting Mario Draghi to have a speech as well. So all of this will have a large impact on the euro-dollar, and of course, pretty much everything. Also, we are expecting the durable goods orders. This has always been numbers that bring a lot of volume, a lot of volatility, momentum on the market, especially when it comes to the U.S. economy. Durable goods orders, one of the numbers, the most important numbers to calculate gross domestic product. So this is a lot of things that we spoke about into fundamental markets, and this is not our focus of today, but still keep in mind those numbers are very, very important. Now, another case, as I mentioned, in line with time, we're going to get in cases like this one here. We see the parabolic, large candles, bringing it in line with time. You know, the bars are starting to negative territory on 1, 2, 3. And if we sell here, we're going to have to close it somewhere in the range of this candlestick, which of course gives us a very tight profit, pretty much nothing. But obviously the market has exhausted its direction, and we can't really do anything about it. This is the system. We're following the rules. Done deal. But of course, in many cases, you will see this. We will have 1, 2, 3 all aligned, bringing it up to about 60 pips of profit in about 19 sessions. So all of these cases in that system will give us very good profits, especially when it comes to single currency pair and small time frames. If we have to turn our attention into 15-minute chart, we will also see pretty much the same example. You can see here right away we get the alignment, the parabolic, and the profits, even on that 15-minute chart. So I can see questions here flowing in, especially about questions about different currency pairs and commodities. This is also something that I was going to remind you one more time. It's a universal system. You can incorporate it into trading pretty much everything. However, be advised that the more volatile the nature of the instrument that you're trading is, the bigger the time frame that you have to choose, because this is a market momentum. And in order to build market momentum, you need more time. Okay? So with the settings here, you can't go for larger than 15 to 30-minute chart or smaller than that. It's just as that. Also, you have to choose something with tighter spreads. It's also better because the exits and the stops, as you already saw, are very, very tight on time. So basically, this is a system for full-time traders, someone that can stay in front of the computer pretty much all the time, so you can mobilize yourself every time the market gives you an opportunity. Of course, you can modify it as a expert advisor to give you alerts on your mobile phone, so on and so forth. This is also available. Everything is free with us here. We have no problem sharing our expertise. And of course, furthermore, to give you an examples like this one. This is about 65 pips of profit, pretty good one. And as I mentioned, one more time, you can see this is a very perfect case to why we're focusing on the exits and stops, of course, on the parabolic stability, because the continuation of the market can pretty much go for a long time. And the parabolic, as a support and resistance nature, it actually tells us when the market is about to reverse direction, which is not incorporated into ability of the AC, is for short. Also, as you can see, this one is not giving us a very good opportunity to exit as well, because of the bars. They're changing colors pretty much. It's much better to look at the parabolic when it comes to stop losses and profit taking. Also, you can see here the fake signal one more time. You see the parabolic is changing direction, telling us the market is going to move up. We see the bars here going up, but as I mentioned, we're not using the colors. We're only using the crossovers, like this one, like this one, like this case. Now this is a case we can take, let's say, like that. Actually, it's going to be somewhere from here, okay, down to this one. That's about 9 to 10 pips for a very short period of time. And this example is only going to bring us to a let's say break even or a few pips of loss if you wait too long to exit. So the ability to protect you from negative experience on the market and the ability to pretty much scrape off the candlesticks pretty much on every pip of profit. That's why we have chose the settings of the parabolic to be not the default settings, one more time, 0.1 step, maximum 0.1 as well. It's very easy to remember. And the default settings of the awesome oscillator and the accelerator oscillator as well. So that's all about the system. We can pretty much keep going backwards to see what the market is going to give us. As I mentioned, we can see a lot of opportunities here. Even in this case, when everything is in line in time, we're actually taking just about 10 pips of profit, but still it's a profit. It doesn't matter what the market is giving us, we're taking it, because we have no idea whether this is actually going to be very large movement, because what we see is just about that much when it comes to opening the position. Okay, we see the parabolics one after another. We see the bullish momentum building here. We see the crossover and the bar of the awesome oscillator, and then we open and we close when the parabolic changes direction somewhere about here on this doji. It's about 5 pips, 5 to 10 pips. It's still a profit that we're going to take. And here is another example, very good example. Let's say we're conservative, we want to wait another candlestick, and this is about the profits that we're getting, 17 pips, still pretty good for 15-minute chart time frame. So that's all about it, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing very complicated. For whatever questions, please send us an email, call us on our telephone numbers. You can find it on the GDMFX.com website. And of course, over there from the bottom right corner, you will have a pop-up chat on our support department where all of your questions will be answered. And if it's up to an expert trader, you will always be able to schedule a meeting over there, get in touch with me or any of my colleagues, and get your problem solved. So pretty much that's all about it. I'll see you again on Friday on our last session for this month. We're going to talk about trend trading and reversals. It's a very important session. So be here at the same time on Friday so we can conclude this month's webinars and yet again new webinars for the month of October. You will be able to start signing up for them in just about a few days. So that's all about it. Thank you for joining us. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.